why do we want to buy apartment buildings? And I compiled a list of 5 of the reasons that I think you should buy apartment buildings, that I personally want to be involved in apartment buildings. So I want to share those with you now. And a lot of people think that this is out of their reach, that they cannot invest in something like this because it takes too much money. But that is a common misconception, and there are ways around that, which we'll get into eventually. But it doesn't have to be just you that's purchasing it. That's kind of the key. Partners. You need people, you need a team, you need help. So let's get into this. One other thing I wanted to say is Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's that little purple book that a lot of us know if we're involved or want to be involved in real estate. And one of the things that he says frequently is that the poor and the middle class work for their money. The rich have their money work for them. And that is definitely key, and that is a huge reason of why I like multifamily. Sorry to keep saying it, but I definitely do. And even if you are not rich now, I'm not rich now, but I'm going to follow what the rich are doing, and I'm going to do what the rich are doing. I'm going to copy them to get to where I want to be, to where they already are. They already laid the roadmap down. Why am I going to reinvent the wheel? The first thing, number 1 of 5 that I want to stress is investing in apartments, in multifamily, in real estate is easier than you think. And you want to leverage other people's time, right? We might not all have time. A lot of us, pretty much all of us, have day jobs that takes up a minimum of 40 hours a week, families, hobbies. We want to chill out. We want to do whatever. We don't necessarily want to get into another side hustle that's going to take a ton of time. But if you do this properly, you don't need it to take a ton of time. You can work with other people. Work with people that are managing this asset. You have property managers on the ground. You have asset managers that are managing the business plan, making sure everything goes the direction you want it to go. And you're using these other people's time to make it work for you. All you need to do is invest. So that's a big key. That's a major concept that I think a lot of people don't realize is you don't need to be involved in the tenants, the trash, the telephone calls. Somebody else can do all that for you. You don't need to be woken up in the middle of the night with somebody on the phone saying, hey, my toilet's broken, or, there's a leak in my roof. No, somebody else is going to do that for you if you structure your investments right, if you work with other people that are structuring their investments right. So leverage other people's time. That's huge. Other people's time. So OPT, if you're leveraging other people's time correctly, this allows you to reap the benefits of real estate and of the investment without the massive time suck. Live life how you want to, whether that's on the beach in the Bahamas or in upstate New York in the wilderness. I don't know. Maybe you're in the New York City. Maybe you're in a skyrise. I have no idea, but live how you want to, other people's time. Next thing I want to talk about is that there are so many different possibilities in real estate. I'm very partial to multifamily right now, and it's because I'm involved in it. I've been involved in a few different multifamily deals to this point. I was helping to manage a 12 unit a while back that was sold through a 1031. I then partnered on a 16 unit out of town, sold that through a 1031, and now I'm involved in a 32 unit out of town. And that is going very well for us. But multifamily is not the only thing out there. There are other real estate vehicles you can take. You can get more involved in office buildings, which, whether you think so or not, there's a good chance they will come back. Maybe differently, but you never know. There's self-storage. There's medical offices. There's always going to be a need for medical offices. There's all sorts of things. You can get involved in specialty stuff like campgrounds, mobile home parks, RV parks. That segment is really getting bigger and bigger because it's pretty recession proof. Think about it, mobile home parks. They're pretty much the cheapest form of home ownership you can get, and that's not a knock. That's awesome. and it works for a lot of people. So think about like other ways that you can get involved. And then there's all the different portions of real estate. You know, we're typically looking for value add real estate. So that means in our case, an apartment building where we can go in and we see that it's either poorly managed, it needs some curb appeal, maybe the units aren't maintained very well. Things that we can do, that we can change almost immediately as soon as we purchase, to really increase the value, increase our equity stake in this, and also increase our quarterly cash flow. Besides value add, you know, there's turnkey, things that are ready. They don't need any work. It's just like, I don't know, it was built in 2020, 2021. They're building it now. They just finished it. All you gotta do is lease it up. Or there's, you know, ones that are already pre-leased, totally turnkey, where you're literally just buying the asset and having somebody, third-party management, manage it, collect your paychecks, collect them, ACH right into your account, mailbox money, whatever works for you. There's small and large scale of everything. You can buy a, you know, multifamily. Technically, commercial multifamily starts at 5 units. So you could buy a 5-unit building in your downtown area. You could buy a 500-unit building across the country. You know, I'm based in New York. Everything that I own except my house is out of state. So you don't need to invest where you live. Keep that in mind, especially now. I mean, with the internet, why? Number 3 reason to be in real estate is you're probably investing in something. You're probably in stocks, mutual funds, all that kind of stuff, which have been doing very well over the past year. But, you know, the wave must crash eventually. It might not be bad, it might be bigger, who knows? But you have to realize that there is another way, there's a different way. And I'm not saying to throw all of your eggs in one basket, but you should diversify into other things. And the great thing about apartment buildings, about real estate, is that it is a hard asset, which is nice. There's a lot of people say this, but there's like 2 types of people. There's people that want to be in real estate, and there's people that are in real estate. And there's a good reason for that. I mean, look at some of the richest people in the world. Many of them at least got their start through real estate. So it's a great investment vehicle. Think about it, even like your single family house. You can buy that, let's do, I don't know, you bought a $500,000 house last year. You pay that off over 30 years, it's gonna be worth more. Yeah, you gotta pay interest on it and all that kind of stuff, but it will appreciate. It's gonna be worth more eventually. So even there, you see, you're gonna build equity through time. But you can really multiply that equity when you have multiple units. Real estate is the easiest way to gain financial freedom for that reason. 1 unit a year, 10 units a year, 100 units a year, whatever you're working towards. What are your goals? Where do you want to be? There are tons of positives with owning real estate. And this is all in the same subsection, part 3. But think about it, there's consistent cash flow. Huge. How many stocks are you going to get consistent cash flow on? There's also the idea of diversifying out of the stock market and into real estate. Split it up, stock market, real estate, cryptocurrency, whatever other things you might invest in these days. The options are literally endless. Real estate also gives you tax depreciation, which is big. That's a really big thing, and there's so many little nuances to that. And it also gives you appreciation of the asset, as I was talking about earlier. You hold this, time will appreciate things. If you buy in a good area, it's a high quality asset, it's gonna go up in value eventually. And there's different types of appreciation. There's forced appreciation and there's regular appreciation. Forced is, again, raising the value of the property through rehabs, through value adds, things that I was talking about earlier. And also, you're using leverage to buy this stuff. I'm talking about larger buildings, larger assets where, I'm not throwing in all the money myself. I wish I had that kind of money. I don't right now, but I'm bringing in partners and I'm using a bank or I'm using a lender of some sort, and they are throwing in the majority of the money to buy these things. And then I'm reaping the benefits and my partners are reaping the benefits through that consistent cash flow and through that equity appreciation that we're gaining over time. Then there's the fact that you can save money when you buy real estate because of the different ways that it's set up. It's a crazy thing, but there's all sorts of ways. There's tax depreciation, which I mentioned earlier, and there's passive losses, and you can write these off against the gains that you make. So on paper, it looks like you're making a lot less than you actually made in real life, which, helps a lot with your taxes, and it's legal to do that. That's not like some weird loophole or anything. That's pretty standard if you're in real estate, that's going to be something that helps you out. Then there's also becoming a real estate professional, and there's all sorts of different things that make you qualify for real estate professionalism. There's different tiers of it, but that allows you to write off even more depreciation and really, really take advantage of the tax law in a 100% legal way. That's all CPA stuff. And lastly, number 5, for the 5th reason that I, really like real estate, another reason that the 5th reason you should invest in it is, I think it's a positive thing. It's a real tangible asset. Think about this. You can drive by this thing. You can walk into it if there's a vacant unit. You can meet the people living there if you want to. You don't have to. You can never meet the people. You can never drive by it. You can never even see it. You can buy it sight unseen if you really want to. It might not be the smartest thing. I like to see it. I like to inspect it. I like all the property inspectors. I like to be there, but you don't have to be. And again, that goes back to using other people's time again, which is great. Save your time for yourself. The other thing about it being a real asset is you're also going to know the people running it. You're going to be able to speak with the managers of this place. If you're investing in a property, you can speak to who's managing it. You're going to be on phone calls with them, Zoom calls with them pretty often. Everything's going to be laid out. You're going to know exactly what your money is doing for you right then and there. There's typically like a portal you can log into and see what it's doing at least on a quarterly basis. So you know that your whatever $1,000 amount of dollars that you put into this thing is doing something for you. And then you're also going to get those distributions that we talked about earlier, cash flow. The other thing is you're going to be kept up to date on your money and on your asset. Kind of overlaps with what I just said. But everything's really transparent in the multifamily space, in the real estate space, if you're working with, I would say, smaller to medium-sized, even larger-sized companies. But we're not talking REITs, we're not talking institutional, at least I'm not right now. I'm talking more the small, medium guys that have, 100 units or a couple hundred units, a couple thousand units. These people, they're doing it as their day job. They're doing it on the side, even if it's a few smaller units. But they're doing it at a level that's making them money, making investors money, and also giving people a great place to live. So those are the 5 things that I like about real estate. I really want to continue to make a bunch of videos, and hopefully they are educational and useful to everybody that's watching them. If this was helpful to you, please let me know. Please let me know what I can do better, what kind of videos you want in the future. And if you would like, subscribe, and do all that YouTube stuff, that'll really help. Thank you.